In the past, analog studios have relied on the audio console to control every audio signal in the studio. With Control Room, you can directly control things like monitors, headphone systems, external tape machines or audio players, and TalkBack. I was personally happy when this feature originally came out because it saved me a few $100 on a monitor controller. If you learn how to use the Control Room properly, it can save you money too. Let's get to it. If you try to select the Control Room or Overview in the Devices menu right now, a message will come up saying, "The Control Room is disabled. Do you want to enable it?" Normally you would choose to enable it, but I want to show you another way of doing this. First, go to the VST Connections window. Then click on the Studio tab. Now click here to activate the Control Room. To add channels, click here or right-click down here. There are 5 types of channels we can create. External inputs, like CD players or tape machines, a TalkBack channel, studio channels which can be used as cue mixes for performers, a phones channel for the studio engineer to check cue mixes or to listen to the mix, and a monitor channel for Control Room monitors. For now, let's create one of everything and make 2 monitor channels and 2 external input channels. Select the correct audio device and device ports for each channel. Control Room channels can share outputs with each other. This could be helpful in a case where a set of stereo speakers doubled as a stereo pair and the left and right surround. However, it's not a good idea to share input and output ports with Control Room channels, as this can lead to confusion and might overload the ports. Close the window. Before we open the Control Room mixer, let's take a look at the Control Room overview. If you're on a PC and opening the Control Room overview makes an unwanted resize, simply right-click on an empty area of the panel, choose Always on Top, and then readjust your window the way you wanted it. The Control Room overview gives you a great layout of the Control Room configuration. All the channels we just set up are highlighted. Notice these little green buttons here. All of the routing functions in the Control Room mixer are available in the overview. In fact, if the 2 windows are open side by side and you try clicking on the green buttons in the overview, you'll see a change in the mixer too. Not all of the buttons, but most of them. Close the overview. Now let's take a tour of the Control Room mixer. Along the bottom, we have all of our channels. You can click here to view the external inputs. Just click the number next to the input to select it. You can then route it to any one of the available channels by selecting External at the top. As you can see, each channel has, in this case, 3 input options. The studio channel has the availability to listen to the external input, the auxiliary input, which we'll explain in the next video, and the mix, which it takes from your main outputs. The phones and Control Room channels can listen to the external input, the mix, and the individual studio sends. We only have 1 set up now, but if more were set up, they would also be available as inputs here. We can enable and disable any channel by clicking on the buttons here. Each channel also features a fader to control the level. If you would like to send the click to any one of these channels, just enable the click button beside the fader. If you don't hear anything, make sure that the click is activated on the transport. You can set the click level by clicking here and dragging up and down. Hold down Alt or Option to bring up a fader. This is great when one person wants to hear the click and another doesn't, or if they want to hear the click but at different levels. The control room channel has the added option of a reference level. This is often used for configuring or calibrating a mix environment. It's also great for flipping between two different volume levels. To set the reference, simply move the fader to the desired position and Alt or Option click the button here. Now move the fader and click the button to toggle the reference level. We'll talk about listen controls here in the next video. The dim button will lower the control room by a preset amount. The default is -30 dB. You can change this in the control room section of the preferences. Just click on dim again to bring the level back up. Click the talkback button to speak with the performers in the studio. You can click on it to enable it for a long period of time, or just click and hold the mouse button and release when you're done talking. When talkback is enabled, the control room and headphone signal will dim according to the levels set here. In order for the talkback to be heard on the studio sends, you need to enable it here. You can set the talkback level by clicking here and adjusting the fader. This button allows you to switch between monitoring in stereo and mono. If you click on the arrow here, the monitoring panel will open up. You can choose between mono and stereo here as well. Options 3 and 4 are empty since this is only a stereo mix. We'll look at a surround mix in the next video. You can switch between your monitors, or speakers, using this button here by clicking these buttons on the right. Each monitor can be separately set to mono or stereo. You can even solo specific speakers by clicking on the speaker diagram here. We'll explain this in the next video.